Yeah, I think this was one of the biggest challenges for this particular project was the fact that it was developed over Zoom, and Ariel, who's the CEO, has mentioned this numerous times recently that he's never had to develop a hotel via Zoom, which is exactly what happened. So back in 2020, when the project materialised, all the conversations with Woods Baggett, the architect, was done via Zoom. In fact, the guys from Berlin weren't actually able to travel because of COVID until last August. So, it was a long way into the development stage before they'd actually been on site. So that proved challenging, but, we got there in the end, and it looks absolutely fabulous. They're super proud of it because it's their first one outside of Germany. It's a big deal for them. Yeah, so we got it across the line, but it wasn't straightforward. Yeah, well, I'm really glad we opened in May of this year. If I'm honest with you, I think if I wouldn't have wanted to open the hotel last year because I think recruitment was really challenging. All throughout COVID, back end of last year, I feel as though it's getting easier this year. So I started last June. So my management team were all hired last year, and that was fine. That was through networks and people I'd worked with previously and contacts. So the bulk of my recruitment was done this year. And we're a relatively small team. I have 44 employees here. If I was looking at 100, 200, that would have been a different situation. But there are certainly areas that are challenging, and the kitchen absolutely is one of the areas where we have struggled, and to find chefs. But actually, generally speaking, for the other areas, I've been very happy, and it's gone a lot smoother than I thought it would have been. I think the challenge is there is still super talented people out there. The pool has just got smaller, as people have moved on from hospitality. Brexit obviously has had a huge impact. So you just have to be patient and wait for the right person to come along. I think this is probably the biggest challenge, if I'm honest with you, and it's the one thing that's certainly been playing on the mind of Ariel and Philip and Julia over in Berlin, is no one knows Amano outside of Germany. They're super popular, particularly within Berlin. Everyone knows Amano, so that has been the challenge. I mean, we've been partnered with Nadia, so from a PR and marketing point of view, we've had some great exposure. We've been at some great articles and publications, so that's helped. Partnering with a social media agency, I think that's had a key part to play in this, is just getting the name out there. But there's elements within the hotel that we've tried to bring from Berlin. I mean, you can see some of the artwork and the photography around. Some of it's a bit cheeky and a bit daring. That's very Amano. If you walked into one of their properties in Berlin, particularly, you would relate to that. But other small touches like the shampoos, conditioners, and body washes that we have with it here at the hotel, they are Berlin-based organic products that we're using in Amano. So we wanted to bring that across here. Other things that we're looking at doing in the future, bringing across DJs from Berlin, to have some, an events program based around that. So all those things we're thinking about. But I think one of the main things is training our team and teaching our guys, educating our guys about Amano. So when we did our induction at the hotel pre-opening, we went very heavily into that, so they really understood the Amano concept, the vibe, the feel. I think this is key to get them on board as well, because so when they're talking with our guests, they can explain what Amano is all about. And it is pretty unique in Germany. They were the first hotel operators to make hotel bars really cool and trendy, and that's the whole reason actually why Ariel started the company, was that it was very uncool to go to a bar in a hotel in Germany. No one would go. You just go to a standalone bar, and he goes, no, I'm going to turn that on its head, and they absolutely have. So if you go to Berlin, everyone knows Amano. The bars are the places to go and party at. So, there's a real focus on the food and beverage side of things. We want people to come and have a really good time, and then, oh great, we've got some fab bedrooms as well for you to go and stay in overnight. we've opened the hotel, so we are using OTAs, so Booking.com and Expedia. We've had a couple of sales with Secret Escape, more as to generate awareness, and as we sort of move through the months coming up, we'll probably turn the taps off on those things. We'll be less reliant on the OTAs, but all over. Very much leisure focused, if I'm honest with you. Being in Covent Garden, the theatres are on our doorstep, so yeah, a lot of leisure guests. But we've only been open 3 weeks, so we're still learning about our guests, who's walking through the front door. A lot of German guests coming to stay, which is really nice. Obviously, there's the connection with AMANO. They are understanding that we are open in London, which is great. But I think over the next few weeks, months, we'll really start to understand where our guests are coming from. The revenue currently is out of Berlin, so I have a revenue director there. So between myself and Miriam, we look at that side of things. Reservations currently are being done in Berlin, but again, we might one day move that to London, particularly if there's a second and third AMANO. So yeah, at the moment it's heavily leisure. We're looking, and I have a sales manager, Abby, so we are looking at corporate accounts, key corporate accounts, and we're meeting with companies right now. But it's been incredible since day one. We have been really high demand, high occupancy, which is great. The rooftop is super popular because of the summertime, people can enjoy the terrace. I do see the bar downstairs as more of a winter venue. Private events, we've already got a lot of bookings and a lot of inquiries coming out to privatise the space downstairs, because we have a kitchen down there, so it's all very self-contained. I like that you're keeping, particularly for this property, the facade, so the exterior walls are original, and we really have, we ripped out the core of it and built out to it. I think we're keeping the fabric of the building as it was, and I think that's hugely important. And you can play around with the interiors as well. I mean, particularly for this property, we've added the 6th and 7th floors, and done it incredibly sympathetically. You wouldn't even know from the outside that we had done that. But I think you have to respect your neighbourhood, and I think Woods Bagot have done a great job from an architectural point of view. So those are the key elements. I mean, it's very easy just to knock a building down and build from scratch, but for this particular site, we wanted to do it justice. It might not be the most glamorous looking building in London, but it's original, and we wanted to keep those elements in place.